Get ready!
Well, hey there, welcome to my house of cards. My name's Hoodlie, and today we're going to start on a deck quest with my current build of For Hires. I was going to give it some other silly thing, like appended to the name, like For Hire Toolbox, or Adaptation For Hire, I don't know, just something, but I couldn't think of anything, so this is just, it's pretty much just a pretty basic For Hire outline. If you want, you can mess around with it, because For Hires are kind of a weird deck that you can mess around with quite a bit. But this build right now includes 3 hedgehogs with a sword, 2 lizard guys with Wolverine claws, 2 walrus guys that just kind of sit around, probably twirling their mustache. I'm not entirely sure what this is, some kind of fish person? A seal? I don't know. We got 2 ones that... You know what, whatever. I can't think of stupid jokes for all of them. Got 2 recons, 2 Donpa, 2 Philo, who's really just adorable. Look at this little bird, she's so cute. Got 2 big dragon dudes with a sword, some kind of octopus wizard. I'm not entirely sure what this guy's supposed to be, but he punches really hard, so that's nice. And then we got 5 spots for hand traps. I'm just using Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre, because I had 5 spots, so why not? And then we have a card to get to the hedgehog. We have another thing that's just... I'm going to explain what this is for in a little bit because it's actually kind of funny. 1 monster reborn, 3 pots of sort of duality, which is, I like it. Got 2 cosmic cyclone for back row insurance. We got called by the grave for hand trap protection. 3 rookies for hire to swap out our guys. 1 monster reborn, that's a quick play, which I guess makes it more... It summons in defense positions, I guess it's more like back to the front, which is cool. Then 3 imperms. As for the extra deck, we're using it to fuel this card, which I'll explain in just a second, but it consists of 1 internet cat girl, a typical nightmare package, the boss furry, a giant blackluster soldier man, some negates on a bear, a big dragon covered in chains, and 2 big angry gun dragons, along with this guy, who's just kind of here, hanging out. Along with Castell for some spot removal, and Utopia the Lightning, just in case, you know, something comes along and we can't deal with it normally. I'll explain the side deck in a minute. So for hires, again, much like Crusadias, this is kind of a good entry-level deck that is very easy to pick up and play, it doesn't cost very much, and it's fun to play around with. If you don't know how they work, basically all of the low-level for hires have the effect to special summon any different for hire monster from your hand, and then they gain effects when another for hire monster is summoned. The main idea being that you summon a for hire, you summon another for hire to trigger the effect of the first one, and then you can use the second one to summon a third one, which will then trigger the effects of the other one, and you just kind of keep daisy chaining, getting your big ones on field, which have effects when they're special summoned, depending on however many for hires you have. This makes them a really interesting deck that you can just kind of mold around a bit, kind of mess around with and see what they can do, because they all kind of do different things, and it's a very interesting deck to play with, which is why I'm wanting to play it for this week. Now, all the low-level ones do share an effect, like I said, where once per turn you can special summon 1 for hire monster from your hand. Oh wait, I'm sorry, 1 monster for hire. I like that. I don't know why I like that, but I do. And the main one that you want to get is Beat, Bladesman for Hire. This is a little level 3 monster that we can search out with Rhoda, and it has the effect where, when another for hire monster is special summoned to your field while you control it, you can add 1 for hire from your deck to your hand. This is the main one you want in your opening hand, and obviously we're running 3 of it, along with 1 reinforcement, and Rookie for Hire. This makes it easier to get to him, but I'll explain why in a little bit. Then we have Bravo. He gives all for hires 500 attack and defense until the end of the turn. Not great, but he is a 1900 beater that can special summon another for hire, because again, it's a level 4. Then we have Seal, who can add a for hire back to your hand. And then we have Helmer, who can let you discard 1 for hire card, or card for hire, to draw 1 card. I really like the way that's worded. I don't know why that's funny. Then we have Recon and Donpa, who essentially are like 2 sides of the same coin. I don't know why they have that little text thing there on the images. That's strange. But basically, If a for hire is summoned, Recon lets you target a set card on the field and destroy it, while Donpa lets you target a face-up card. So they kind of each have the same purpose, but for different things. Philo lets you special summon a for hire from the grave in defense position, but you place it on the bottom of the deck if it leaves the field. And that's what all the low-level ones do. You kind of want to swarm the field with them to gather resources or deal with your opponent's stuff, and then you bring out the big guns. Namely, Raphael, Wiz, and Dinah. Raphael is a big level 8 dragon, which again, you can just special summon him from your hand, with 2800 attack and your main deck, just boss monster, sort of, until we got Fulgo, but we'll get to him in a second. And when he's special summoned, you get to excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of monsters for hire you control with different names except himself. So let's say you have like 2 other for hires, and then you summon him. You get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and add any of them back to your hand. You only get 1, but again, it doesn't search specifically for hire cards, which means it's a really good way to just dig through the deck for play extenders that you can't typically search. You do need a bigger field of for hires in order to get a lot out of him, but that's still pretty cool. Also, once per turn, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard a for hire card in order to negate it. It doesn't destroy it, but again, you have a 2800 beater. It's not bad. It's pretty nice. And then you have Wiz, Sage for hire. You gain 500 life points for each other for hire you control when she's summoned, which isn't great, but might help you win in time. And she's pretty much the same as Raphael, except she negates spells and traps, which is nice. Again, doesn't destroy it, but that doesn't usually matter unless it's something like a field spell or another card with a continuous effect. Dinah, meanwhile, is probably the least useful when special summoned. It just lets you banish cards from your opponent's grave up to the number of different for hires you have. It does count itself, so that's kind of interesting. And the only other thing it does is that your opponent can't target other for hires you control for attacks, which, with Raphael on the field, it's weird, but it's nice to what's the word? Run a pitch for the rest of the team. I don't know, but that's how the for hires are supposed to work. They're a little group of misleadingly titled animal people who kind of just work together. And they don't all have fur. Like, I'm just going to say that I really wanted to say that earlier, but their title is very misleading. Like, Beat, sure. Raphael, he's a lizard. How the heck can he have fur? I don't know any lizards with fur. Maybe I just haven't looked enough. That guy clearly has fur, so sure, that's fine. But that's hair. That's a fish. Or an aqua. That's not fur, that's hair. And then this... Sure, that's fur, that's fine. This is feathers. They don't have... It's not feather hire, it's fur hire. It's stupid. And then this is an octopus. This is just flat out octopus. The octopi don't have fur. If I do, then someone tell me in the comments, but... I don't know. I like their pun name, but it seems kind of misleading. And then again, you can mess around with other for hire cards if you want. This is just what I'm running. I have 5 free slots for hand traps. You can run whatever you want. I'm just running these because they're generically helpful cards. I don't know. And in fact, there is one thing you can do in the side deck that I'll explain in a little bit, but let's get on to the spells. Rhoda is just for summoning Beat because you really need to get Beat in your opening hand. And then someone recommended I try out Reasoning. This is a very weird card where your opponent declares a monster level from 1 to 12. You then excavate cards from the top of your deck until you can get one that can be normal summoned, and if the monster has the same level as the one your opponent said, you send everything to the grave, but if it isn't, you get to special summon it. And as you can see, we have monsters with all sorts of different levels. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, more 3, 8, 7, 6. We really just have a huge range of monsters, so we're probably gonna get something out of this. Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. It will still trigger the effects of your for hires, so that's nice. Then we have this pseudo draw card, Pot of Disparity. It's not in the TCG yet, but I really wanted to try it because outside of the for hire boss monster and some toolbox cards, you don't really need the extra deck. I mean, you could probably make some kind of for hire build, that has a toolbox in the extra deck, but I didn't really want to do that this time, so I just, again, went with nightmares and stuff. And also, this card is just really, really neat. It's kind of like a mix of Pot of Extravagance and Pot of Duality, which is like one of my favorite cards in the game. I have no idea why. It lets you banish up to 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck. You get to choose this time. Face down, and then you flip over the top, and then you flip over cards from the top of your deck equal to the number you banished, and then you add one to your hand. So that's where Pot of Duality comes in. I was thinking about running Extravagance, but this deck really needs to run Fulgo, and keeping specific monsters in the extra deck really, really benefits this deck, especially the Nightmares, so I didn't want to risk banishing them. This is a lot better in my opinion, or at least it's the kind of card that if you need specific cards in your extra deck, but you really need a card to get your play started, such as Beat, I think this is probably a better option. Watch it cost like $80 when it actually comes to the TCG, like it always does. And then the rest is, it's Cosmic Cyclone, these back row cards, hand trap stuff. Then we have the 2 for hire spells, which are pretty neat. Rookie for hire lets you tribute a monster and special summon a for hire whose level is 1 higher or 1 lower than whatever you tributed. Again, we have like 4 level 4s, we've got like 4 level 2s, making it easier to get to Beat, so that's nice. And it can also help swap out between stuff like Wiz and Dinah and Raphael, so that's always cool. It just helps us get through to our deck and swap out for cards that we might need right now, and we can discard it for Raphael and Wiz, so that's always nice. Then we have Mayhem for hire, which is just a quick play monster reborn for hires. It just special summons them in defense position. But it's a quick play, that's cool. Then Imperm, because it's Imperm. That's really all that matters. Moving on to the extra deck, again, we really only care about Fulgo, so let's talk about him. He's a Link 3 that requires 3 monsters with different types. The for hires are all different types, so that's pretty easy. And it can't be used as Link material, but when you Link summon it, you can special summon a for hire with a different type from the 3 you used to Link summon it. Considering our big level monsters are a dragon, a spellcaster, and beast warrior, most of which aren't the lower levels that we use, that's really not a problem. We can pretty much always get either Wiz or Raphael, which is what we want. And also, if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or a card effect, just in general, you get to draw a card. And if you happen to control 3 or more monsters with different names, for hires specifically, you get to draw 2 more. So if you have Fulgo and like Raphael and any other non-dragon or beast type for hire monster, you get to draw 3 cards. You do have to destroy something, but again, you got stuff like Donpa and Recon, you can just swing over stuff, so that's really, really cool. And that's pretty much it. He just lets you refresh your hand, because this deck really chews through its cards pretty quickly, which is why we use stuff like Seal and Philo in order to, regain advantage. And Mayhem, that's just useful. And then everything else is pretty much just stuff we can use, but are probably just going to dump off Disparity. Masquerena, Unicorn, some other Nightmares, Appaloosa, BLS, because you can make it. And considering, again, you can summon Raphael and Wiz pretty easily, it doesn't really matter. So you can get the bonus effect really quickly. Sadayuja, the Borals, Avramax, Utopia the Light. We can't go into rank 4s too often because we only run like 2 different level 4 monsters, but still, they're useful to have. And then in the side deck, I just have some useful going second cards. This deck is more for going either first or second, not really favoring one way or the other, just kind of being a malleable toolbox of things we can use. But I was playing around with this alternate engines I found someone using because I thought it was really cool. This is the Tri-Brigade engine. How it works is that you would discard Fractal to dump Nerval and then search Karis. You would then use Karis' effect to banish 3 cards in order to summon some Morg, which would get you Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds at the end of your turn. There are some for hires that are one of the 3 beast types, so you would have more fuel to work with in order to summon this thing. But overall, I didn't think it was very fun to actually use against people. I didn't really want to do it. But if you're playing in a more competitive deck, or even just going to your locals and you want to play for hires for whatever reason, try this out. it's pretty much just 3 fractal and then one of these, and then the one for the rest of these cards. Then we got stuff that's just, again, good for generic going second, except Lost Wind, which is just bonus interruption going first. And that's pretty much the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for decks you'd like to see me make a quest of, or just have advice for improving this deck, let me know. I hope to see you next time at my House of Cards when we go into the casual server and then the competitive one, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll go well. But yeah, that's just the deck. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you next time. Bye.